Bombshell news today in the NASCAR community after Austin Dillon's playoff berth has been stripped away following his moves at Richmond to win the race. Joey Logano also fined $50,000 for his moves on pit road. Let's break down NASCAR's midweek Richmond Penalty Report. Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, and let's break down NASCAR's Richmond Penalty Report. Some bombshell news regarding Austin Dillon, no longer eligible for the playoffs. Joey Logano fined $50,000 after some new footage came out after my race review on Sunday of him sort of doing a burnout near Austin Dillon's family. We'll break all that down. I'll give my opinions, but let's get into it. This is breaking news for sure. The playoff grid has been once again turned upside down with this announcement. So let's get into it. Let's start out with the Austin Dillon penalty, because here it is. Austin Dillon no longer eligible for the NASCAR playoffs. He's been stripped of his playoff berth. Now, he can still win one of the next three races to be in the playoffs, but I don't think mathematically he could point his way in anyway. But certainly it would take a win for him to get in. He's been stripped 25 points as well, owner points and regular points. And by the way, the owner championship, he will not be in the owner's playoffs either, which is certainly something we don't talk about as much, but that pays big amounts of money as well to the NASCAR teams. So certainly that's big there as well. And then Brandon Benish, I really hope I'm saying that correctly. Apologies if I did not. The spotter for Austin Dillon has also been suspended for 3 races, so the remainder of the regular season, for saying words on the radio. Wreck him is obviously what we heard on the audio coming to the checkered flag. So I'll give my opinion on what I think. I'm sure are a lot of opinions about this. I've seen both sides about this penalty. I've seen support of Austin Dillon saying you got to do what you got to do to get in the playoffs. He did it to drivers that have done it to other people. I've seen some people advocate for this, saying he shouldn't be in the playoffs because it doesn't take talent to do what he did. I don't know. I think this is really just what you think. This is your opinion, because I'm actually really surprised. I thought Austin Dillon was going to get a fine, a pretty hefty fine for the right rear hook on Denny Hamlin. But let's just retake a look at what happened. Austin Dillon gasses it up coming out of turn 4, obviously 4 or 5 car lengths back, rams into Joey Logano. Joey Logano spins, and then obviously Denny Hamlin cuts into the inside and then ultimately gets a sort of right rear hooked into the outside wall. Austin Dillon comes across the line first, gets the win. This is still Austin Dillon's 5th career win in the NASCAR Cup Series. But I've sort of flipped, because after my race review, once again I said I had no problem with the move on Joey Logano, and I still don't have a problem with that. Short track racing, this has happened multiple times. Look at Joey Logano. He's ran into guys at Darlington, William Byron. He's ran into Truex at Martinsville. Joey Logano hit Kyle Busch in Las Vegas. No big penalties there. Joey Logano was never stripped of a win in Darlington or in Martinsville for knocking a guy out of the way. I guess NASCAR sort of potentially advocating, because he was so far back, trying to gas it up, wasn't going to make the corner. That might be where NASCAR is coming from there, that was crossing the line because he was too far back. But the right rear hook was something that I originally thought was really a bad move, a bad look. But after looking at some of the SMT data, and shout out here on Twitter for uploading some of the SMT data. This was a great analysis, by the way. I'll put the link to this in the description for sure. But man, just after this, I almost think this is a Denny Hamlin and Austin Dillon collision. I don't think Austin Dillon, obviously he's turning the wheel to get back down the racetrack, but I don't think Austin Dillon is intentionally right rear hooking the 11 car whatsoever. Now, NASCAR has maybe a little bit more data. Maybe there was more information that came in, which led NASCAR to penalize Austin Dillon, to take him out of the playoffs. But based off what I see, I don't think taking the playoff eligibility was the correct penalty. That's just my opinion. There'll be some that agree, some that disagree. But once again, the last time that we had a win or driver stripped out of the playoffs in the playoff era, which started in 2014, the knockout round playoff era, we've had one driver's win incondoomed or whatever. That was Joey Logano at Richmond, same racetrack in the spring. But that was due to, unfair advantage aerodynamically. So this is the first time I can think of that a driver's been stripped out of the playoffs for a move on the racetrack, an over-aggressive move in NASCAR's eyes. So they've set a presence. I don't think I entirely know what it is. Certainly the right rear hooking was bad. I think we'll get an explanation from NASCAR that maybe explains this a little bit better. I think the right rear hook with Hamlin was the worst part, but after I went back and re-looked once again, I don't see anything that was that egregious. I don't think Austin Dillon really turned down into him to intentionally wreck him. I think it was more of a collision. You had Denny Hamlin coming up the racetrack because that was the preferred groove. Obviously, Denny Hamlin was just below the preferred groove according to the FMT data, but certainly, most of the cars still in the preferred groove, and you have Austin Dillon on the high side with a wrecked Joey Logano on top of him turning down, and they collided, and Denny Hamlin slammed the outside retaining wall. But just from what I see, I don't think that was intentional. So I don't know. If NASCAR comes out with an explanation, maybe I'll understand it a little better. But I don't entirely understand stripping Dillon of the playoff berth. Fine. I know a points penalty doesn't do much, but a large fine I think would have been the best situation for Austin Dillon. They also did dock Austin Dillon 25 points. So I also want to mention that Austin Dillon's spotter was suspended for 3 weeks due to the comments he made on the radio, and I do agree with that because a spotter's job is to be professional and tell the driver where to go, direct him around traffic till he's parked, till that car is no longer anywhere on the racing track moving. In my mind, that's what I think a spotter should do, right? Unfortunately, it seems like to me he kind of turned into a fan, saying wreck him was bad, but then also, cheering and celebrating for multiple moments while there were cars all around him on a restart coming to the checkered flag. I think that was a penalty that was warranted. Show them that you have to act more professional. You can't become a fan in the instance as a spotter. I know it's maybe a little bit easier said than done, but that's just my take on the penalty for Austin Dillon's spotter being suspended for 3 weeks until the playoffs do begin. They should be able to find somebody to fill that role fairly quickly. Let's talk about the Joey Logano penalty because Austin Dillon, that's the big one, the big deal, big penalty there, breaking news. But let's talk about Joey Logano's penalty because he got a hefty fine, $50,000. This has been a hot topic after some new footage came out. Couch Racer on X. I'll certainly put a link in the description for that as well. Here's the video. Joey Logano obviously coming down pit road hot. I mean, I was sitting in the grandstands. You could see him passing all these cars going way slower. And then unfortunately, it looks like Austin Dillon's family is coming out to run. It looks like the Bass Pro Shop CEO, I believe, as well, walking across pit road. Dillon's kids and his wife walking across, some of Dillon's crew members walking across pit road. Joey Logano sort of scares them there. Luckily, he was able to stop in time, but there are broken parts and pieces on that race car. We changed the way these cars maneuver. So certainly this was a bad look for Joey Logano. An official, a flaming hot red, mad official, came down there, stopped Joey Logano. I like this official, though, because, he stood his ground. The officials are supposed to be tough guys. I don't think they're supposed to be scared of the drivers or teams. I think it's supposed to be, opposite of that. I think the teams need to be scared of those officials on pit road and need to, respect them heavily. Big scary official, right? That's what we need on pit road. But yeah, I think the $50,000 fine is perfect. I think there's been some calling for, not allowing needed personnel on pit road, non-essential personnel on pit road immediately following the race on a hot pit road is some words I've seen used. I sort of agree with that as well. I don't know why there's little children on pit road, immediately following the race. A few minutes later when all the cars have stopped, that's certainly a bit different. But you have a lot of essential personnel walking around, officials walking around. Just seems a little unnecessary to have family members walking around on pit road as well. That's just my opinion. Looking at the video, I was unaware that it was, family would move across the racetrack that quickly. I did not know that was how that works. So certainly that could be, more analyzed moving forward by NASCAR. Maybe some more rules could be put in place to help prevent that or something that could have been really bad from happening again. So I like the penalty for Joey Logano. $50,000 at least is a great, just a little, stops him from doing it moving forward, right? And I think NASCAR will have a big talk with Joey to make sure this doesn't happen moving forward. That's it. That's really all there is to talk about following the breaking news today in the NASCAR community. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I want to know. I want to know what people think about this penalty. If this was the right penalty or if this was the wrong penalty. For sure, it's interesting. That's it. That's all there is to talk about. Obviously, I'll do a race review following the Michigan race next Sunday or this Sunday, so please tune in for that. And, of course, about Austin Dillon, RCR, being stripped of playoff berth. Let's get rowdy.